Hi, this is Damien re AtHope, and I am an axiological atheist.
Okay, so what is that?
Okay, an axiological atheist is
I've never heard of it.
Okay, is a atheistic philosophy that is using axiology. Axiology is a value theory in philosophy, and in social science, it's an actual value science that allows you to, in the subjective world, come to objective claims about things and their usefulness, and to evaluate usefulness of things.
How come I've never heard of it?
Well, there's probably a lot of things that, like in psychology or sociology, that you may not have heard of. It is known more like in political science would use something like that because of the fact that it's a social science. So it is used in science as far as testing things, but a lot of times it's used without the person realize they're using it as a tool. Like they'll evaluate it. It allows you to evaluate, like, is a cup a good cup? Or it has to have good cup qualities. And that means it has to be able to fit in your hand. It has to be able to last. So axiology actually breaks things down into three categories mainly. It's intrinsic category, it's extrinsic, and it's systemic. And systemic. Systemic has to do with, like, say if I have a paper cup. Its intrinsic value as a cup is it has a value, it can actually hold something. And then extrinsic, its usefulness to me is very temporary, but it's still useful. But systemically, is it going to last for 5 years? Paper cup? No, absolutely not. So it has.
Could you spell axiology? I want to know the etymology. I can't visualize it.
It's A-X-I-O-L-O-G-Y.
Just like it sounds.
Yeah. So. But it's a philosophy of value, and it's like I said, a social science of value. It's called formal axiology when it's the science.
Okay.
So how it relates to belief, because it doesn't have to relate to just atheism. It can relate to, you can use it for any form of belief. Usually the standard beliefs would be theism, agnosticism, and atheism, and they all would use it in a little bit different way. But all the same thing because it's like a tool. It's like a lens you put on to see things.
So would this be helpful to someone who's trying to perhaps escape from religion?
Yeah. To me, it's an excellent thing because it validates, in other words, humanism. Like why you as a disbeliever would value humanism or value people. It gives a basis for morality, although itself is not a morality. It's like it gives you the reason why a morality would be useful to you or valuable.
So morality would be useful?
What's that?
You said why a morality would
Right. Why, in other words, like you say, right, so if you said, well, I'm an atheist, well, that doesn't really tell a lot, you know. If you say, well, I have morality, the first questions could be, well, why? Is there a reason why you would care about people as opposed to not caring? Well, axiology gives you the reason why a person inherently has a value.
What is the reason for morality?
Reason for morality? Well, it's basically,
I ask those kinds of basic questions.
Right. So the basic thing for morality is us to live as a social species, to have
survival.
Well, survival, and there's more than survival because it's about thriving. It's not just surviving. Surviving is the lack of dying, but thriving is the ability to flourish as a person, as a culture.
Happiness.
Right, so happiness would be a value in thriving.
That's kind of where I'm coming from.
But I don't want my neighbors to kill me, so I'm not going to kill my neighbors.
I consider myself to be a Buddhist, and Buddhism has this eightfold path, which is divided into three portions: morality, mindfulness, and wisdom. And the morality portion is just like, don't hurt people, and the reason why is because it makes them unhappy and it makes you unhappy.
Right, so in axiology always goes back to the scientific thing that really, when people say like our species, you know, is the strongest survive, that's actually not true. It actually is the most compassionate is the reason we survive. That's actually the real truth. Is that the reason we are here is because we actually care about our children, our offspring. We don't just, you know, birth them and then let them go.
Most of us.
But I mean, in general, I'm just saying, in general, yes, of course, there's always going to be outliers. They're always, you know, causing problems. But the general, even outliers, even psychopaths sometimes have families and care about their own families. So it just shows that even the most farthest from the norm still follows a relative norm. It's still the standard, because it really goes back to everyone actually processes in value. That's what axiology shows. There's a neuroaxiology that actually shows that our brains process that way, whether we like it or not. I mean, in other words, it also is not inherent to humans. Animals also value things.
So much on
That's how that they're able to assess, should I go to this place? Is this place good? You know, should I go back to it? You know, should I, protect my young? We constantly are throwing value everywhere. One of the interesting things to understand is value is hierarchy in axiology. It's almost like rings. Whatever's closest to you, you value the most. The furthest away. And this is also evolutionary. It's not beneficial if you care about Africa but not your own children.
So do you think compassion was passed on through evolution?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, all mammalian animals show at least 6 to 7 qualities about empathy, compassion, altruism. I mean, there's multiple things that it's all evolutionary. So when they say, Christian or a believer says, well, God gave it to man. Well, then God gave it to the rat, because the rat shows it too. So I don't know. If you think the rat's special,
The rats would eat their young.
But they also
Like
actually
dogs had rats and they would eat their young.
But not all of them.
right, not all of them, and also they're very communal animals. They also love and affection.
Yeah,
So
societal,
yeah.
I can see how axiology could be dysfunctional in a way, like the Tea Party Republicans that believe that America is absolutely unique and that we should be very, they're almost xenophobic. They should be very suspicious of Europe. They're not real democracies.
My fault.
Okay, but I would say that they're not using formal axiology. Scientific axiology says that people are more important than beliefs. Period. No belief is more important than human value.
Well,
So
why they wouldn't?
no, I'm saying so. It's right. So
They wouldn't. But the real fact of the matter is we're harboring in a new generation, and this generation, when it gets to the same point where the Republican parties and the Tea Party and them are at now, my generation will definitely not be living the same guidelines. I mean, unless by some freak chance they start just persecuting anybody who's non-religious, which, I mean, you could almost see. They're starting to pass bills now that are completely just against freedoms. Anyway,
well, they're losing control, and so they're trying to regain control.
like, how can you tell a woman what to do with her body when you don't expect anybody to tell you what to do with your body? It's like, like people who want to commit suicide. It's like, is it up to us to take our own lives? Yeah, it's my life. I'll do what I want with it. Why should anybody else tell me that I can't do that?
What about seatbelts?
What about seatbelts? I think honestly seatbelts should be optional, but not for children.
Well, I
What
agree with that.
about the cost to society to clean up the mess when you don't wear a seatbelt?
When I don't wear a seatbelt, touche. Okay,
But,
so
but if you're gonna do things for cost, then you have to ban smoking, because smoking is effective. Then you also have to ban drugs, and you also have to ban eating, because people overeat.
But who said we're consistent?
So yeah. So
now it's 1984.
So I'm acknowledging that when you look at values. So I agree with him. Value would say that people own themselves. Now that you're owning yourself, though, that's the intrinsic. Systemically, we're in a society. There is no one person outside of the society. So your owning yourself has to relate to the larger thing. It's like saying, as me as an axiologist, would I say that it's okay for you to own a gun?
What if you're in Iraq?
It would depend. I don't believe you should own a gun that can blow through walls and you live in an apartment and there's a person next door who can be shot. So in that sense, no, you cannot.
I mean, I guess
because your rights could infringe on the rights of others. But if you had to say a 22 and it can't go through the wall, okay, I can see it. It's okay. But owning a full machine gun that will blow through the wall and kill all your neighbors,
the compassion behind that.
that's not okay. Because your rights can't infringe on everyone else's rights. You can't put everyone in danger, so you have 100% rights.
Screw you. How's that possible? How is that?
That's freedom if you can afford it.
What? I can't hear you. What?
Party guys, they're libertarians.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
You're here.
It's from that Team America freedom.
So what did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
I totally agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
put too many I didn't realize they turned on the table. So if someone needs that, oh no! When I first got here, we had just these two tables.
Which one?
From Team America.
But so how go back to how it relates to belief. in general. Do you understand the major principle? God believes belief in general. The major question all three theists, agnostic, and atheists would ask is God valuable?
It's freedom if you can afford it.
So, is it valuable to humans? So before you ask does it exist, would a concept like that even be valuable to me? And then why or why not? That is an axiological question. This is a value question. A theist would say absolutely God's valuable. In fact, we can't exist without God, and thus God needs to be worshipped. So we need to hold him in reverence. An agnostic axiologist would say, I don't know anything about God. Thus, I can't make an opinion about God. And thus, I shouldn't worship because I don't know it could be bad.
You just got 5 freedom points.
So they would be, I just have to reserve and do nothing. That's an axiological agnostic. An axiological atheist says God is terrible. God would be harmful to humans if it did exist. Even the concept is harmful, and we should never worship anything. And then it would take one step further and say, no being deserves the title of God.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very, like, aren't we supposed to, we're supposed to work together as a community, we're supposed to take care of each other and harbor, like, life safety growth.
But you would be using axiological theism, because it's not about the disbelief, it's about the value of.
2 million, I think it is, right?
So you could be an atheist and be an axiological theist, or an axiological agnostic, or an axiological, because it's a different, it's the philosophy of.
So there's about 30.
So some people get confused sometimes when I say I'm an axiological atheist, when they say, well, what if God exists? I would then hate a real being.
That's what he's saying.
Or I would reject the real being. So then you would no longer be an atheist. No, I would still be an axiological atheist. I would then have to be an axiological atheist who's a theist because now I believe in God. But I still believe their value is zero.
No, I think actually it says.
So someone could, in other words, if you, like for me, I'm an axiological atheist. No matter what God exists or not exists, I will always be an axiological.
And not all serial killers are dictated. And some people just think about.
Always deny the value of God.
So what we should.
And I will never worship
So what we should really talk about is when are we all going to move?
Man or otherwise, God. So I'm heard people before go, well, what if God is an alien? But I would say as an axiological atheist, they shouldn't get the title of God, first off. And even if they had the abilities of God, they shouldn't be worshipped.
A serial killer, 36
So it's a different kind of
how
perspective.
many years? So I mean, you're going to live for about.
And also, like a lot of people,
120.
and also, if you're an axiological atheist, you don't get as much into the existence question. It's the question
So I learned that, and I was like, wow.
does God exist? Because they're like, who cares if it does or doesn't? It's worthless. So usually, an axiological atheist is actually ignorant of time. And what that means is the term God has no meaning.
So that comes
The
down
term
to
afterlife has no reality,
once every 3
substance
years.
or meaning. So it just denies, doesn't talk. Why should we talk about something? You're just making up words that don't have attached to reality.
2 million people.
And until you show a reality,
Possibly.
I can't even tell you if I can believe in it.
Walking past them.
Because you've given me nothing with substance.
Yeah.
In other words, if I say, is a Bigfoot real? All I'm asking you to believe in is the possibility of a primate that's yet discovered,
I live downtown, probably.
that lives and eats and survives in the natural world.
So that comes
If I say to you is a unicorn possum, that's a little bit different, because I can look at evolutionary history, and I can see no horse has ever had a horn. Not even anywhere on the line. So it's not very possible.
Mated with a narwhal.
Nobody ever tried to break into our house.
So the possibility is less than a Bigfoot. But because it's still a natural animal, it has some possibility.
I'm not like I heard this story about one person ever who was killed out of the 50 million people that died over the past 2 years. Like,
But that doesn't
come on,
rule
man.
out the possibility on
Compassion is
I'm
dead.
over it.
Right, but what I would say as an axiologist, I cannot value judge anything of the rest of the world because you haven't even shown me that there's bacteria for sure that exists outside. And then once you show that, you have to show a higher form of any kind for me. So in other words, the possibility of a life, I could say it could be possible that there's a life out there because of some many planets. There's like sextillion planets that are like Earth. That makes it a possibility, but it's wrong and overstepped to say what could be there. It's
related to the decline of the rest of society or whatever, because
yeah, but I can't judge a possibility of something I have no information on. That's what I'm saying. Like a big,
there's nothing magical.
Religion was a tool.
It's like living.
yes, I correct.
Unless it's a magic universe.
Right, that's why I say on this planet, there's limits of scientific reality. That's why if you say there's a God, that's no possibility to me. Zero. I am psychologically certain there is no God. Actually, I'm psychologically certain there's no supernatural of any kind.
Is that delusional compassion?
So,
Well, it even begs the question. Like, what is it?
and that's a
What does
good
it
point.
mean
Like,
for something to be
is it
supernatural? How do
compassion
you
if it is
define
done?
supernatural?
which goes that goes back to the agnosticism. I don't have to even entertain something that you say that has almost no meaning. What does that even mean? What does supernatural mean?
And I can't afford to get fined.
And as far as like when they say, well, science doesn't test it. Well, actually, science doesn't give hypotheses that don't exist in the reason of reality. So science, yes, does not test things that have no substance. So you're actually, to me being a fallacy to say that the science can't test it. Yeah, because science doesn't test anything unreasonable. It's not limited to the God question. If I said right now there's a pink cow that's like sitting in this room, science doesn't go, well, let's investigate that, because it actually makes no sense. First off, because just reason alone would make that hypothesis ridiculous.
It's like $20.
How is the animal living?
It's so cheap.
Who's
now.
feeding it?
It's ridiculous.
Who's cleaning up its going to the bathroom? Oh, well, it doesn't go to the bathroom in the real world. Then it's no longer something
Why are
real.
people
You know
still
what I'm
yelling about it
saying?
when you're like, you can go look at it and you're like,
Even if it's invisible, I should
that's not
run
bad
into
at
it when I walk in.
$20 a month covers myself.
If I can't, then you're already in. And then how do we know it's pink? Well, you don't know it's pink.
It's not really that bad.
How can you tell me something you can't even
If you're
prove
going to
is there?
bitch about your health insurance, start with your car insurance.
No, I was saying about a cow. Because I had one person one time go, well, you can't prove that there's not a cow sitting right here in this room. It's
I know you
pink
can always save money just by switching.
and invisible. And I said, well, actually, we can. Because if you're saying it's only invisible, I can walk over there. If I run into it, I'll know it's there. And I said, but the reason alone, without walking over there, I know animals need food. So how is it surviving
will
there?
work for society to help us save.
And then I would smell it, right? Because the animals stink. So I already, without getting up, I know it doesn't stink. I know it can't eat. So it would already be a dead animal. And if it was dead, it would of course smell more.
You're touching on something that means something to me.
Because I'm a rationalist atheist, I don't start in skepticism, I start rationalism. If it doesn't make rational sense, I won't even entertain it.
But there's this concern that
Yes, I did.
without religion or without
Yeah, about the dragon and God,
no one will follow morality.
There's always a way to rationalize.
So this is my question: is how can we say, yeah, go be an atheist, be a humanist, don't be religious, but there still are rules?
Well, what I try to say is I rationalize that your claim is not worth
How can we establish
entertaining.
those rules?
It's not a rational claim. So what I would say is I'm not against skepticism. I'm a rationalist who uses skepticism as a tool
done either.
to help remove falsehood. But I don't start with I don't know and I'm doubtful. I start with you need to prove to me it's reasonable before I'll even doubt something. I can't doubt something that's not reasonable.
Because of misunderstanding.
If you say that you have 10,000 people living in your house, I don't go, oh well, I'm going to doubt until I know. I go, yeah, that's ridiculous. I won't even entertain that.
Everybody needs to watch.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, or if I say that right in this bag I have the Nile River, you don't say, well, I need to be skeptical until I look inside. You say that's not even a rational claim. I won't even entertain it. I don't have to entertain it. I don't even. So they say well, you have to be agnostic. I don't have to be agnostic that the Nile River or the planet Pluto is inside this bag.
You guys have heard the saying like every 7 years.
Once you use rationalism allows you to assess claims and their worth with axiology. Its worth as a claim is ridiculous. I don't have to even be agnostic. There's no reason to. It's completely ridiculous. That's why to me it's hard because when people say I'm agnostic about God, I see the same as this little bag. That this bag could hold Pluto. I don't even entertain the whole thing sounds to me personally ridiculous.
It's really good, yeah.
You know, I don't have to. And some people say, well, there's a limit to human knowledge.
12,000, 13,000
Right? They'll say, well, humans can't know everything. Well, I say, but yeah, but then it's a bell curve. As a rationalist, I still think it's a bell curve. I can have 100% knowledge of 100% of what a human can know. If you say human only knows 50%, then I have 100% at 50%. Just like you say, well, Einstein's a genius. But only if the limit is 300. If the limit is 3,000, Einstein's not a genius.
The Buddha and stuff like that.
So once it's a bell curve about how you evaluate them.
Come to find out he's Jesus.
He is Jesus.
And his whole message was just to trick.
Well, yeah, compared to most people, that's what I'm saying. But that makes the bell curve. That makes the standard.
And he brought that
of what is the average for a human. I would say, but if the average was 3,000, then he's an idiot.
Just kill it and make
it. So that's what I'm saying is.
So it's a really great movie.
It's okay for me when people think otherwise, but for me, I always go back to what's rational.
He didn't talk about afterlife.
And most claims are just not rational.
Say, believe in me.
Thanks, you're done, right?
You know, you can be in heaven right now if you choose to be by not being an asshole.
Yeah, so like, I think the worst enunciation or worst announcement ever is to say, "I'm an atheist" when you meet somebody else. Because
really, I say it all the time.
That shouldn't be what comes first, though. It's not what identifies us. Atheism is what we're dictating is causing us to not identify with anything.
Okay.
It's a symptom of logic. So, like, I mean, if you want to say you're a humanist, you're like, yeah, you support humanity. That makes sense. But being an atheist, doesn't that already mean you kind of support humanity? I mean, like, you support yourself.
Okay.
A lot of people don't think
there's
so.
Already,
I mean, I think it should, but
yeah.
You're saying, does it? No.
Here's the thing, there's already an atheist religion. It's called Buddhism. Why don't we just all be Buddhists?
Yeah, but Buddhism is not inherently atheistic. That's actually not true. It doesn't have a personal God it follows, but it does have deities. It does have demons in it. It does have heavens and hells. Yes, it does.
There's so many different versions of it.
Right, but the beginning, the Pali Canon, right? The beginning, the first book of Buddhism, which all of them then spread off. That's like saying there's different sections of Christianity, and the other ones.
But even the Pali Canon was written 500 years after the Buddha was alive.
Right.
So it's
Which goes back to my point would be that just like all other books. It's funny, the similarity of religion, that all the religions, the people that actually made them didn't write their own book. Jesus didn't write his own book. Moses didn't write the Torah. You know, Buddha didn't write it. Neither did,
I think Muhammad did.
No, Muhammad did not. He couldn't even read and write, so no, he did not. No, you're wrong. He could not read and write, so he did not write it. Actually, his sages did it, I think it was like 56 years after. Don't quote me on that, so. I don't know for sure about that exactly, but I know it's after. I know he absolutely did not, and there's actually other...
You're right, maybe Buddhism can't be salvaged.
Well, I'm an
they're all corrupted to the point where...
I'm an anti-religionist. I don't require everyone else to think that way. So I'm more than just an atheist. I'm a complete anti-religionist. I reject everything. I'm just saying that when people say it doesn't have...
But shouldn't there be like rules, like for how to live and be happy and stuff?
I have rules in axiology.
Right. Ones that we all agree on, or no?
Yeah.
Well, first off, I would say there's in society it proves already that there is no rules we all agree on. So I think that if you ask here everyone define atheism, I don't think everyone here would come up with the 100% thing we all
treat
agree on.
others as you wish to be treated. Don't hurt people.
But that's a golden rule. But what if I like to treat people bad? What if I like to be treated bad? So actually,
so you're a masochist.
I'm saying that golden rule is actually to me a copper rule, not a golden rule, because it actually to me axiologically doesn't have value. You should treat others the way they deserve to be treated, not the way you like to be treated. Because morality is not about yourself; it's about others. Because you can't have morality all by yourself. Morality is a behavior involvement. So if you're not behaving better for other people, so I never accept that do as I like to be done. What if I like to kill people? What if I don't mind if I get killed? I mean, they're better than the Norse. They believe dying in war was the greatest thing. So certainly killing someone would be a great thing because they want to give that same honor to someone else. I've killed you. You should be happy.
I did you such a great service.
So I'm just saying I know that's the golden rule is common in religion, and I would say, and it proves the devalue of religious morality.
I think it makes life a lot easier, though, if you really, hopefully treat others the way you hopefully think they should treat you.
But I say we should treat others the way they deserve to be treated.
So what if they're scumbags?
But that's a judgment value, though.
And you should do judgment. Absolutely. I'm an axiologist. It is about judgment. We should judge what is valuable. Yeah. So in other words, even a person who's a prisoner, we don't torture them in prison because we still hold a value as a person. Doesn't mean that we don't let them out.
Some do, not we, not everybody.
But I'm saying in general, most people hold that there's a certain standard that we hold ourselves to. Even like, do people have a problem when we got the prisoners of war? You know, that recently in America and torture people, is that okay? Why is it not okay? So to me, it's not okay because we're still hold a standard how we treat others, no matter how they treat us. That's not how you do morality. Morality is not tit for tat. Morality is not, well, if you do this, then I get to do this.
Solely because.
But to me, when you make it do unto others, you do unto yourself, it almost is like whatever you do to me, I have the right to then do to you, and I don't think that's morality. I think that is actually the opposite of it. Morality is a reasoned thing that says in all things we should try to do this.
But if I know how they'll react in advance,
and so to me, it's an other morality, not an us.
And so
like I said, but you know, I see things as axiologists, so I see things as how we value. Humans always have value.
Telling people my opinion.
I can hate behaviors and still respect people.
You're not self-identifying anymore at that point.
I don't.
And sometimes people do things that make you want to not respect the person anymore.
But then if somebody
that doesn't mean they're not a human. They no longer, in other words, they no longer intrinsically come to a status of a dog or a rat or
I'm very interested in because it makes them happy.
They're always a human.
Are you conveying yourself, or are you conveying a self?
There's still a human thing that we have to judge with, and how we
need to convey myself.
Because that's what makes morality is what we do.
So what do you think we should do
Exactly.
about
Ego is a thought. Ego is just a thought.
Well, my personal opinion with Bush and Cheney is they should be in prison because they committed war crimes. But I also think that the whole government really should be assessed, and our
value is happiness.
Not just the people on the top. Everybody should be held accountable. I mean, that's what we did to me in World War II. We didn't just hold Hitler accountable, no one else. We held everybody accountable for what they did individually.
Right and wrong anymore.
And I think that's morality. That's absolutely right. The reason why going back to, like I said, another how you treat others. So it goes back to that. It doesn't matter what they did. Although one thing different to that is I believe that we have the right to protect ourselves and protect others in the immediate thing. So if I kill somebody,
I start saying no, you're wrong,
because they're trying to kill me, then I think that's okay. It's okay to protect someone. If someone's trying to kill a baby and I kill them, that's okay. But once I capture them,
somebody tells you you're wrong,
and they're no longer producing an immediate threat to the baby or to me, and I kill them, I have then done some moral violation. Because they're no longer posing a threat. So to me, torture usually involves people that are no longer posing a threat, and then you intentionally causing harm. So I feel that is
6 years until a couple months ago. And so last time he saw me, I was just like kind of like cold, shut off guy that had like a fun personality. I would have fun, but I wasn't like compassionate. So when my son was born, I realized I was like, I'm responsible for somebody else. And I actually care. I was like, why don't I care about everybody? I was like, oh my god, I do care about everybody. Like, what is this? Like, you have a brace. You just like I broke down the hospital. I'm holding it.
For example, you never harm anyone.
Right.
I just became a human. I felt what it was like for the first time to be human.
Well, and I think that's axiologically, that is what you should base morality on. Is your thing should always be, that's why I tell people I'm an atheist for non-aggression. I think that we should be non-violent, non-aggression. That includes character assassinations. I don't think we should go out of our way to just belittle and humiliate and destroy people. Because I think that is a form of mental violence or psychological violence against people. And it's unnecessary and it's usually just harmful in a way that's not stopped. So I'm not saying I'm perfect in not doing that, but I strive to not do that because I see it as having little to no value, especially towards trying to do a humanistic value system in general.
And it was a weird disconnect because I never had that nurturing from my mother. I had it from.
Well, my parents were fanatical, evangelical, Pentecostal Christians.
I've always felt the need to like help people, like
completely, totally.
Anything else, like what they do.
Completely, totally.
How if I give a homeless man $100?
I mean,
like things like that.
I mean, like They did almost like a Jehovah's Witness. We didn't celebrate birthdays, holidays, nothing.
See everybody's value. Like I see every life as a value.
Somewhere or another.
Well, yeah, I don't know exactly what they do, but I've been told that wow, it sounds like Jehovah's Witness. We didn't watch TV. We didn't listen to radio. No, we didn't even listen to radio. So we didn't have music dance too. I didn't even watch a movie or anything until I was 13 when my mom divorced. I ended up going to live with her. Before I lived with my dad, we didn't do nothing. My mom couldn't wear makeup. She wouldn't wear dresses. Even the stereo in her car, he ripped it out so that she wouldn't be tempted to listen to music.
I've got a puppy.
Because it's worldly. It's something other than God. So pretty fanatical upbringing. I wasn't allowed to have friends because they were going to be worldly. You know, you couldn't have no influence. Correct. So it was like a total isolation. Very twisted. That's why I'm also very out now trying to help other people, especially ones like I said, like I do these videos for other countries because man, do I not understand what it's like to be completely isolated. You know, I lived it. I know what it's like to feel. And it was amazing because I was a believer until I was 36, and then I had been was a drug addict and alcoholic. And I got sober. Now I've been sober 25 years, almost 26. And I decided I'm going to be a drug and alcohol counselor to help people.
It could be automatic.
And so I went to college. And when I went to college, they started teaching us stuff about science that didn't match up with the Bible.
That's controlling your body.
First time I ever heard anything, because once again I was so isolated. I really didn't have any. We didn't focus on school because my parents thought that God was going to come back before I got out of high school. So we didn't even talk about college because I wasn't going to be here. I was going to be in heaven.
I guess that makes sense.
So it was meaningless. We never talked to him. He didn't care if I had good grades because if I got an F, who cares? You know, God's going to come back. You know, learn the Bible, learn enough reading to read the Bible, and that's pretty much it. There's no reason to learn anything else.
So when I identify that, I think about
and that's what, and it happens, and I think that's totally wrong. So what happened there is, then they tell me because I'm going to be a drug and alcohol counselor that I need to learn other religions because there's a lot of spirituality in addiction therapy, like AA and stuff. So they said, you need to, what if somebody like he was a Buddhist? What if someone's a Buddhist or a Taoist or a Shinto or a Muslim? You need to know about them so that you can talk to them because they know you don't know. So I didn't want to take the class. It pissed me off. Why do I take this class? I thought I was taking drug and alcohol counseling. I got to learn religion. But it was funny, once I took the class and I learned world religions, I was like, wow, they're kind of the same. I really, they all kind of have a golden rule. Most of them, think kind of the same. Their worldviews aren't that different. I mean, what they say about what humans do, sacrifice, most of it's kind of the same. It really shocked me that, wow. And that may be the first time I started doubting, because I never doubted that. The first time I was like, wow.
And it's not necessarily
maybe what I think is only because I was given only that. Maybe there is something else out there. So it really was like shocking.
And so it's not like.
And then in biology class, I learned that everybody starts out as a female. That blew my mind.
Programmed to do. It's what your body is programmed to do, and it's working how it should.
I'm like, what the heck? It takes 3 processes to make a man.
Different input. DNA or experiences.
It takes anti-feminizing androgens, masculizing androgens, and testosterone. And if anything happens wrong in that mix, you get something that comes out, a person, that is not fully a man. And it actually happens 1 in every 1,000 births that happens, a genetic gender difference. That blew my mind. I was like, because I was taught only man and woman in the Bible, and then Adam was first, that Eve was made from man. So to find out that not only does it sound like female was first, people aren't really all man and woman. That's just, I agree with that.
So that's something
this is.
Well, yeah, or you have XXXXY, or you can have a whole bunch of variants. So I mean, it did blow my mind. I mean, because that's another time I started questioning. Well, then maybe the Bible's not real. If Genesis is real, but this doesn't match. That doesn't make sense. Why would God make man first, but then everything else genetically looks like females first? Or female is the default. That doesn't make sense to me.
Persists.
So then they told me I'd take a class on the Bible. I thought, oh, finally, a class that I'm going to get an A, an easy A. I mean, because that's all I've done my entire life. Was like some Christians don't say the Bible. I actually read the whole Bible twice in two different versions: the New American Standard and also the
similarities between all the serial
King James. So I mean, that's all we ever did.
To actually identify whatever it was that I was experiencing.
So I was really happy to have a class on the Bible. Little did I know that I was going to learn everything in the class I never knew. So yeah, all the troublesome parts, where it came from, I only got halfway through the class and I became an atheist. I didn't even finish the book. Halfway through the book, I started learning that Satan was never Lucifer, and the snake was never Satan or Lucifer, and it blew my mind, and I was done.
Like before you're done.
I mean, I went from full belief to a little bit of doubt to just complete atheist.
As simple as like one time getting.
And it was so funny because it was in the class about the Bible. Who would have thought? And my mom found out, and she's like, "Why do you hate God?" And I was like, "I don't hate God. I don't believe in God to hate
over years for like 15, 20 years or something.
But and like, did you get mad? I'm like, actually, I got schooling. That's what happened.
But it's somebody over there is tortured for anywhere from like, I think
my parents were
atheists. After 8 years.
End of story.
Always
Oh, I wish my parents were atheists.
And my grandparents.
so the breaking point is actually much.
That's even better.
My great-grandparents went to church because that was what
Like
they did.
the guy from Fire in the Sky.
Did they live here or
One of the
they
guys. It's a true story about a guy who got abducted by aliens, came back and just
Came from
but the amount of time that he was gone wouldn't instill that kind of reaction.
Which one's the Nordic country?
got some Native American, got some English, got some Dutch, got some
But he returned, I think it was like
and
6 months later or something.
somewhere back in the
Was he crazy when he came back?
What's that?
Was he crazy when he was
nothing when he came back.
Well, you can definitely try something that's
In a
shorter period than that.
Right on.
In fact, I've heard people who
What I would really like
latent
to learn about
psychosis or whatever, or schizophrenia, and they
Yeah.
are completely triggered by one dose of acid, or even one off a joint or something, or a drink. And
True. When it was really funny,
just trigger something.
primates actually look like they come from
I mean, it can
Asia.
happen.
Even though human evolution comes from Africa. And they can actually trace what's that?
Say that again about primates.
Okay, primates, it looks like they originate actually in Asia, and then they move to Africa and then become us. So they originate, the first primates actually in Asia, and then it moves into Africa. But so it's really interesting, I think, just in general, how everything moves around. You know, this think that, everything's so fixed, it's like, it didn't take a god to move everybody around. People moved around. Animals moved around, things moved around. But a lot of the things we don't realize, like you said about Africa, why people moved around, or even primates, is because of climate change. Climate change constantly swinging this way, swinging that, freezing areas that have tons of foliage, all of a sudden becoming deserts or becoming dry.
Just counseling, support, compassion, teaching them things that they don't know.
And want to eliminate.
You mean that they want to conserve their energy and the fact of not having to go so hard for resources? Yeah. Well, and water in general, water sources is a big reason why people moved around. Also, trying to get towards water, but that's still energy. You don't want to go every time. Better go one time 1,000 miles than every day 100.
I mean, I'm just saying kids get exposed to stuff.
To get water.
Traumatized by
That's
stuff
only
outside
part of it, actually. I think that
I'm pretty sure
in a lot of cases, the migration came because
she started having me watch all these crime shows.
being smart.
She's like, oh, this is really neat, we should watch this. And I remember being like 11, 12 years old watching the first 48. Like the 48 hours right after the crime happens. And I would always think to myself, like, oh, I just won't do that when I kill you.
There's more over there.
No, I'm serious, that was my actual thinking. I just won't do that when I kill you.
I'm not so sure exactly.
Wow. This is training.
Yeah, I used to get into fist fights. And like, if I tried to fight, I hit somebody in the face and gave me this deep feeling in my chest where I was just like,
Like meant to be.
Like I just stood on a mountain and took a deep breath. I was like, oh, such relief.
You should have been a cop.
The release of compassion just gone. Just moving outside of
Well, yeah,
Humans were
and I get the same feeling from opera, which is really loud opera. Because they come 5 to 10 minutes in.
well, there was volcanoes and earthquakes, and there was droughts and stuff that were not man-made. I do agree that people have an impact on the environment, but it's not a direct thing. I do agree they move for food, not just water. They move for resources in general. But the first sign of war archaeologically is about 10,000 years, and then there's the next one is not until about 6, and then from 5 on it's continuous.
Or I could be way
so,
more
I don't think they were really fighting that much unless they didn't do big fighting, at least archaeologically.
Well, they have all kinds of
well, yeah, you're right. They could have skirmishes, but they don't show up exactly.
Years, so.
And if it's a,
like one of my main concerns was that up until I was about 16,
and then the other people figure out,
I don't get to go to heaven.
let's see,
And that's what sucks. So I should probably not kill them.
you know, they don't have 2 car garage, they're living out in a cave or something. We can just pack
What do I do now?
a few miles.
And I just had to keep myself under like really tight constraints. Like, okay, you don't want to go to jail. You have a lot of time on this planet, you don't want to waste it in jail. Maybe you can be like a politician.
So I think there's just a natural expansion. A lot of animals
something that people are going to appreciate you for, but still going to recognize you.
But
You can feel that
unlike
power
us, they're
feeling over
limited
somebody
by
else.
the environment. So as much as they want to,
Without having to try to
you look
incite
at
race
our
wars in
race
California.
just taking over
Yeah,
this
so,
country.
well, I guess Central California.
When they didn't have the natural checks
But yeah,
and
it's one of those
balances,
things that you just,
that was just the natural.
I found a way to flow out of
There
it.
was no
Like, I got to where I needed to get long enough to where one day things click.
Every square
And
inch
so that's
of the
kind of where
US.
I'm coming from with everything. I
There was
think
plenty of
that's
food
really
there.
important. I
There
think
was
it's
just
really
a
important.
natural expansion.
Things
The
quit.
population
You
increased.
take the need to
They
be
were
something or the need to
overfeeding,
be
so they
someone.
moved out.
No, I feel that need. I still feel that need. I just don't feel the violence in it. I don't feel the abuse. I don't feel the abuse.
But there also is, since you're talking about the Fertile Crescent, archaeologically we know there's a lot more actually shared space. Just like for 14,000 years, there's evidence of going to central and eastern Turkey to get obsidian out of mines. No fighting. And then they could trace the obsidian going down into Mesopotamia and down into to Israel and Syria. So they're trading some amount with people. So I'm just saying, I know that people were fighting, but also there's a lot more than we realize. Göbekli Tepe is the oldest man-made religious monument in southeastern Turkey. It's about anywhere from 13,000 to 11,000 years old. Göbekli Tepe, and don't quote me that that's exactly the way you pronounce it. It's something like that. But that is the oldest man-made religious structure. It's almost like a stone.
To me, that's the ultimate failure.
But it has all kinds of carvings all over the stones. Very, very intricate, the animals and stuff. So, but people, no one lived there. So when it was built, people had to travel to this religious monument to make it. And then to continue traveling, I think it was, I don't remember exactly. I think it's like 800 years or 1,000 years, something like that. I don't remember. But that it was used. And then they buried it, which is weird. They completely buried it on purpose and stopped using it. But close to there is another place that is the first religious city, where they actually made religious monuments in the city in southeast Turkey. And there's a lot of connection to Israel in the fact that, like the Nubians, the way they would remove the heads from the bodies and bury the bodies under their buildings. The same thing is happening up in I can't remember the name of the town now, but it's the first religious city, and it's about 9,000 years old, and it lasts for about 2,000 years.
Axiologically, people value things. Is there a reason to expand
beyond Earth? Yeah, because beyond Earth would allow us to get all kinds of natural resources in a way that would be non-destructive to this planet. Well, but you're assuming there's life there. Most of, at least in our own solar system that's accessible, there's not life that we know about that would be infringed on. So we could mine for something like nickel, or we could mine for I don't know, diamonds or something, and it wouldn't be infringing on people on this planet and ruining our environment, or to do that, like when they dig, like the tar sands. I mean, it's causing pollution. If it makes pollution on Mars, it's not going to be a detriment to the Earth.
So what would your value be if
The one warning that I have for you before you go down the
some sort of
route too
bacteria
far
that's
is that
barely eking like
it can, for most people, it does turn into this
and
intellectual
so
thing.
then we come there
And
and it would
if
be
you
totally
make it intellectual,
if we
it
released our
can
bacteria
just become a new thing for your ego to latch on
Well,
to.
first off, you have to assess axiologically, does bacteria have an inherent right to exist? Is there harm done to bacteria? Axiology would always start with the fact of a cognitive ability to assess that you're being harmed. So, like the difference between, is there a difference between a human and a dog, or a dog and a plant? A plant obviously has some amount of existence and some amount of its own reality in a sense, but is it really cognitive? Does it really feel pain? The amount of pain it feels will relate. Does a bacteria really have a right to existence? I always say that we shouldn't destroy things for just the reason to destroy them, but I would say that a bacteria doesn't have any inherent understanding of its own existence, doesn't have any understanding of psychological harm, doesn't have any actual psychological understanding, I would believe, that it even exists. So there's no, I don't think we should go up there and intentionally wipe it out just because we can, but I don't think there's any harm even if it got wiped out.
The embodiment of my life is just to
That's my judgment, yeah.
And one of the things that happens
That's what she asked for. She asked for my judgment, yeah.
is our value
That's just my ego taking over.
system
Saying, oh, I
changes.
own all this and you,
Right.
and then this is all you
Probably a
get.
good example of that is the bus ride.
I'm doing it right now. I'm just using I and using phrasing now.
People didn't care.
It's doing it.
You can still, you still,
shift over.
it will still
Right.
use I.
So
I was trying to, I did it.
now, okay, we may not.
Don't try to start talking without using I.
I see myself in third person.
Because if you realize that there's no
In
self,
fact, we're doing it.
then you know it's not
Destroyed it.
talking.
Destroy it.
Yeah.
Although
So
now
there's
we-
no reason to try to exert any
There
influence
are
on
beneficial
whatever is
yes.
talking.
What's that? The duality reverse thing.
Right.
cheese.
When no self is
Yeah.
conceptualized as
So
thought,
we use them as little
it is
slaves.
disempowering, and you let it sitting on the couch, invisible. And when it is realized,
There could be a value, yeah. There could be right. There could be an intrinsic value.
your hobbies and going around talking and being a human being, you just don't try to. There's no confusion
Even though I know
over
we try
there
very hard.
being the ability to manipulate what's going on. Like, you just let it happen. You just let things happen.
There's no.
You got it. Go for that.
Right, well, yeah, just like morality is constantly, there are moral questions that have to be evaluated. In other words, it's not like math where everything is going to be exactly 1 + 1 = 2. You have to look at it, it's a bigger question than that. It's like 150,000, relating to 10,000 or something. It's bigger, there are bigger questions with more stuff going on. It's not simple. There's more things you have to, but it's more complicated than that. But I'm just saying, there's more variables you have to assess to come up with the answer.
I'm sure you've heard the philosophy question. Why does 1 + 1 = 2?
Instantaneous reactions to your judgments to things.
Nobody ever came to the
They're not always very
idea. I take this pair of scissors and that pair of scissors, I have two. Like, not anybody at the table. We were all told that 1 + 1 = 2. So no matter what the item is, that item would be
all kinds of
1 plus another of that item equals 2.
Yeah, but ontologically,
You don't have two scissors.
no, you do. Ontologically, in the real world, you do have two. So mathematics, ontologically, is an actual thing in reality, in general.
The idea is
That's why 1 + 1 can't. But saying a philosophy is still ontologically, which is a philosophy of what is actually natural and taken. So
you were saying there's a lot of complexity. I was helping you with that by saying that the only reason that we do anything we do is because we're told to, or we're taught so a specific way.
right, yeah, but
So I'm thinking that is where you're going.
right. Well, I'm saying about math is you're correct that math is something we're taught, but it's a tool that we're taught to actually assess the natural world.
Right, but even that tool, that we were taught fundamentally is flawed in the fact that we never thought of it ourselves. We were just
Well, it doesn't make it flawed because we didn't think of it. I mean, I didn't think of evolution. That doesn't make evolution flawed. It just means that I didn't.
questioning
to believe that every time it said jump, I was going to jump.
It's told.
And so
It's told to us.
now when it knows how to push my buttons, it will
One apple and
create,
massive
And that's another
anxiety.
apple, two apples.
Yeah, two very different apples.
Things like I feel my entire from here up just
Well, the idea behind that is it's not about the actual numbers. It's about the say.
But you know, it's amazing how quickly that will go away once you
Well, that too.
hold it and not react to it.
If you put it in face of
Feel it
speeches
and
in
you
there,
say,
you can't have
it's just anxiety. Anxiety can kill you.
who knows, in some cases, if it's for better or worse. You have a lot of cases where you find out like if you
But I'm just saying, it is a process that we've done for evaluation, but it doesn't mean that it's not something that actually. It's just a tool to be used. You could come up with another way, possibly.
It's just
To come with the same observation, conclusion.
One day I make you ask questions. It's supposed to be like,
Oh yeah, I agree. Philosophy is about trying to expand thinking about everything. So yeah.
because I asked myself the question one day. I was like, I question everything. Why does 1 + 1 = 2? What makes us think that? Like, if an alien culture came here, we explain to them one thing and one of another equals 2. I'm like, no, that just means you have these
Maybe
maybe they don't have the same representation.
You're always there.
Right, but I'm saying in the natural world, the 1 and 2 would still be the same. It's just they possibly have a different way of analyzing it. It doesn't change its reality.
It's just about the questioning.
Yeah.
Just question.
If I go into the future, then I put myself right back to the present.
Have you read The Power of Now?
I get the idea, but I haven't read it.
What is it about?
It's Eckhart Tolle. It's spiritual. It's just, but it's not religious. It's just it's about not using your mind so much.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like even something that would interest me. That phrase right there, it's already good. I don't even care if it wasn't spiritual. You just said something that I just don't agree with.
He says that the mind is always either thinking about the past or the future, and so it saps your energy in the present to deal with the present moment.
Well, I would say that it's important to think about the past so that you don't have the same issues happening in the present, and it is important to think about the future so that you can plan how to properly assess the present.
He would say you can learn from the past and plan for the future all about thinking.
And I think that's a nonsensical statement.
It is.
Because
the thought process that could be simple.
He says we overthink things and we think way too much, and we should just.
I think we actually don't think enough. We do a lot of stuff on autopilot, which means we end up having the same thing reoccurring. In other words, if we don't make the current, reoccurrent, in other words, things that we like. A lot of people that are going to counseling. I have a psychology degree. It's about making the recurrent current. In other words, things that you keep doing. It's about showing you that you keep doing that behavior so that we're aware. Because we get in habits of doing things. Like say if I talk with my hands, I don't realize I'm doing it until you tell me you're talking with your hands. You're talking with your hands. You're talking with your hands. And I start realizing, oh wow, I'm doing that. Damien?
Josh.
Josh.
What do you think about this though? They say that scientists say that we think something like 10,000 thoughts a day.
Which scientists? Because there's different kinds of scientists.
Okay, so neuroscientists that study the brain, they say the brain that 98% of thought activity is useless. That is their same thought over and over again, and then that thought every time you think a thought,
let me stop right there.
It wastes energy.
I know, but let me stop right there about useless, because you say well, yeah, but the fact that your heart is told by the brain to pump. I know, but you said 98% of the brain is not thinking. Well,
not the brain.
So to me, I would have to see that stat that we don't. That you're saying that most thinking is not being used, because I think that's more than a neurological question. Is thinking being used? Because first off, I would want to see the sample, because I would first off, how many people were tested to prove that all 98%? That doesn't sound. I'm a rationalist atheist. I believe nothing that doesn't sound rational. It doesn't sound rational that they came up with a study, and even if they studied 1,000 people, is that people that are in America, or is it people in China? Because people in China might actually think 78% of the time, because they focus more on math. People, how about another thing too? People that are rationally, people that are in a city might think more than people out in the jungle. So once again, I do not believe that conclusion of 98% is useless, because what if you're constantly thinking of survival? If I'm on the constant, have to be aware of all my environment, I'm in a constant
That's not thinking either. Being aware is not thinking.
But that's a philosophy.
In fact, you cannot be aware while thinking.
Yeah, but that's actually...
When you're thinking, you're daydreaming, you're somewhere else. You're not paying attention to yourself.
I don't agree. That's actually a philosophy. You're relating a philosophy now. I don't believe that neuroscientists will say you're not thinking.
Well,
so and I would have to see that, and then everyone that
maybe I'm
thinks
defining thought in a very specific way.
Well, I'm just saying that people jump sometimes. They say scientists say this, and then they take science and then they put philosophy with it. Not that philosophy is not valid, or not can't be used that in a valid way, but when you mix things together, you're filling in the gaps like the God in the gaps. You're filling in the gaps with stuff that you don't know, or with stuff that's a speculation.
I'm saying it's possible to slow down your thinking.
In other words, if I say there's a car, that's a fact of the car. If I say all cars go fast, well, they all don't go fast. They have the ability to go fast. That doesn't mean that inherently they actually all go fast. So I can take
some brains don't overthink.
That's correct. So I can take a true statement and then add philosophy and then add my opinion and then stretch something past what it actually in reality would be. You're talking to someone that likes to think. So.
Did you find there's value in reading that book?
It changed my life. I was massively suffering before I read that book and ineffective in most areas of my life. And once I stopped thinking so much and started just being more, I got much more enjoyment out of life, much more effective.
It helps that you're attending.
It changed a good book then.
Yeah, for you. For me, it's the exact opposite. It was once I got axiology and started valuing everything in the world that the world became valuable. I started assessing that, wow, before I took for granted a blue sky, but now I know that has value because if you're sitting in here and can't see the outside, why do we like windows? We know outside has value.
It's funny that the different paths will actually lead to the same result.
Yeah. And once again, that's why I would say that I don't believe that 98% all do the same thing, because I think there's a lot of people are different. Now, I do agree there could be a standard and there's outliers. I think my brain is constantly thinking and constantly processing, and that actually is how I get value.
You mean subconsciously or consciously?
Well, consciously and subconsciously. I constantly analyze things. That's why I like psychology. That's why I like philosophy. I like understanding the why. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Like when you're talking to me, I'm actually analyzing how you're sitting, because your body behavior of your hands in your pocket is already telling you that you somewhat feel uncomfortable, and you're actually doing what's called self-touch, which means that you're actually doing something, and you're doing it again, self-touch. Do it without self-touch. Put your hands at your side. Don't touch your body. Yeah.
Now you're just hanging there.
But people do self-touch a lot because it actually comforts us. It's like a hug. It's a self-comfort. So when we're in an environment that actually is causing some form of a stress, which anxiety, we do things to actually without realizing it. But that doesn't mean that we're actually subconsciously not doing something to actually benefit us. You're actually benefiting yourself. We all do. It's a natural response. What I'm saying is, it's funny how when you start actualizing that, what I do, instead of not thinking to the exact opposite, I become aware of what I'm doing while I'm doing it. It allows me to actually become better and actually do more things with thought instead of just being thoughtless. I'm able to process my life in a way that has more value because I'm able to assess what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
So maybe I should just really align my tool and not drop it.
That's a lot of intelligence.
There you go. But once again, I would say that I don't think there's a one way for everyone. Because I think that we're all, in a sense, have some aspects that are different. But then another thing I would say, we're also not special. We have this flawed belief that we are terminally unique, that we have this unique process, that somehow no one would get us, that somehow only thing will relate to us. I believe that's also a nonsense. That is our own brain lying to us. Just all you gotta do.
So there you go. You're saying the mind and its processes can oftentimes not be trusted.
Yeah, it can, absolutely. But like I say, that's why it's important that they'll become actualized, where you actually assess and trust your thinking. Because then you're actually forcing the mind to think about itself, to contemplate, to rationalize, to use not just what our mind likes to do is it likes to jump to conclusions. It likes to fill in gaps constantly. That's why we have all these optical illusions. Our brain looks at something, it just makes it up. So we need to step back and not do that.
We're saying the same thing on some level because you're stepping back from thought.
But I'm analyzing what I'm thinking.
It's not that you're not thinking, but what I'm saying is
stepping away from instinct.
Stepping away from instinct. Yeah.
And you're not necessarily investing yourself in the thought. you're using thought as a tool.
We're just making
As a tool, yeah.
That's exactly
So
what you're saying.
don't do, be.
See, before I let the thoughts.
You guys are both saying that, yeah.
Before I read that book, I let my thoughts control me, and I listened to everything they said, and I followed everything.
Well, I would say yes. I'm not doing that, but I reason that they're not reasonable. Like if I feel like, wow, I should be angry right now, I go,
That's
that's unreasonable, and so I choose not to. I tell myself, you know what, you need to be different, because I don't value
that
anger.
recognition of that one thought might not be reasonable. That recognition is what I think Tolle would say is something beyond thought or above thought or outside of thought, that you're stepping, out of the flow of thought and then taking kind of control over your own mind, which is, I think, beautiful.
Every major operating system,
I only want to use that for when I need it.
Well, yeah, I tell people that axiologically, I don't think anger has no value. But its only value is an alarm system to warn us that something has happened that did not seem right. That when we feel anger, we should assess what just happened, because sometimes it's valid, sometimes it's not. But it allows us to say, but once again, don't leave an alarm on. If the alarm right now went off because we burned a fire, we wouldn't leave it on all day. It would become dysfunctional for us. So we have to turn that on and reset back to no alarm.
I disagree with that. I think that
You would leave the alarm on all day.
I wouldn't leave it on, but if it was left on, I don't think it would cause any dysfunction. I think it would just become a repetitive notion, just like the music behind me, the ringing of the lights that I can hear. I mean, for some people they have tinnitus, they live their entire life.
Yeah, but the assuming that the alarm is it's extremely loud and annoying to actually alarm you. The thought of something being an alarm is not to be the bill where you can just accept that it's going off.
Well, you can. I have before, is what I'm getting at. I've left an alarm on just to see if it really is that irritating. And after about 15 or 20 minutes...
Well, maybe you put value in being irritated, or you don't put value in not being irritated.
Why does it irritate you?
It's true. You can step outside of the mind's instinctual judgment to say that sound is negative.
Yeah.
You can even actually disconnect yourself from the sensory input of the ear and not hear it anymore.
I've done
the only time I've ever not heard something was when I went 43 hours without sleep, my ears shut off.
You can do it consciously, but you get really good at controlling your mind.
That's possible. I wouldn't know.
I can train myself to not be annoyed as hell about a leaf blower.
Yes. Yes. Here's a meditation. Here's a meditation for that. Do you want a little quick meditation?
I can hear this one.
Close your eyes. And then imagine your body becoming transparent. Then the sound just passes through you, and it doesn't get stuck.
I'll have to give that a try, but I'm very skeptical right now.
So I get super irritated by baby
doesn't hit you, it goes through. It doesn't irritate.
And so later on, I started thinking to myself, like, why do children irritate me when they cry? And then I realized it was mainly because I didn't have nurturing at the time. And so this is where I had to explain to them, like, I was basically a sociopath before. I had to like open up the house for when I had my son, it was like somebody for the first time.
I mean,
food coloring in my
Buddha, said that this cause of suffering ultimately is.
Did somebody just put something in my drink?
I think the ultimate ignorance, the ultimate delusion, is that
you walk
whatever's happening right now,
around the room, goes to the sink, pick up a glass, somebody flips on the lights, why are you in the dark?
Even if you were in pain right now, just the fact that there's anything out of nothing is amazing.
Yeah, it's fine.
And if you didn't know it was pain, you wouldn't.
So it was very eye-opening. The same way.
So explain some ways that you're different now. Is you're different just for your kid, or you're different for all kids?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Not just children, not little boys, not pleasure. Everybody.
Has to do with conditioning.
I find value in human life.
And even if the conditioning is
sometimes you say things that you don't mean. Like you're still, I wish they would all just fall face down. You can't really say that. When it really comes down to it, I can't make them all conscious of the earth. And that's what
all spiritual traditions try to get you to.
What if I can teach something more useful than what they currently know? If they tell me I'm wrong 1,000 times, that doesn't change the fact that I just instilled an idea in their head.
Zen meditation.
That's kind of where I'm going with all these meditations. I like to bring all these groups together. I think it's really important
Yeah, try it.
Not just because
I got on the wrong track on meditation for a while because I got into this meditation that was very
Actually, we're less. We're considered lower than child raping, which I think is totally ridiculous.
So the expectation is we don't deserve that up here or anything.
No, we don't.
We didn't do anything to earn it.
Now my goal in meditation is just to show people
as an organization and say, hey, look, that's you got it wrong. Actually, no.
That's different. They're still afraid of you, but they will be protectors of their young.
So what do you think?
And if a bear,
So if you had control of what values were conceived of, what would they be?
As it is.
What values were
If you said that
conceived of or perceived of?
no, I'm saying that you did you not make the statement that you believe that atheists should have values, right, or something?
I think that calling yourself an atheist is a symptom of finding values outside of religion. If you're calling yourself an atheist, you've already found a reason to disprove why a God is morally okay with it. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. We almost all make that decision that, oh, that's an unjust God, or oh, God didn't look out for me, or oh, God doesn't look out for the children in Africa.
I would say that is an axiological atheist statement. That is not an atheist statement. An atheist statement is I find no reason to believe. That's not inherently what you're saying. I don't. For me personally, as an axiological atheist, what you say is exactly how I see it. Almost.
That's just the way I see it.
But that is.
When I was in the
Implicit atheism is simply a lack of belief. A potato is an atheist, a baby is an atheist. Explicit weak atheism would not be babies because it involves you coming to some rational conclusion that there's no reason to believe. And then explicit strong atheism is when you actually say that I've rationalized there is no God. You're all atheism, but there's different, like...
You broke up atheism into three different things, but without religion there would only be one.
No, but I'm saying to you that philosophy-wise, that is how all atheism is. When you say the word atheism, it means one of those branches of three branches. Either everyone is because the standard version is it's no God. So anything without a God is automatically atheist. But that's not.
Why does 1 + 1 = 2? Because we were told so. So if we don't have the explicit or the soft or the actual like atheist, inherent atheist. If you don't have those, the only reason you wouldn't have those is if you got rid of religion.
Yeah, but you're using words right now that we have definitions for, and they have finite definitions. They don't always mean everything.
Well, the finite definition.
So all I'm saying is that people, I know, but people a lot of times say all atheism is a lack of belief in God. Implicit atheism is, or what they should say is, all it takes to be an atheist is to lack God. That would be a true statement, but that's not all of atheism, is what I'm trying to say. And I agree with what you're saying, but like I said, what you and me believe is actually not atheism. I believe in axiological atheism, which is a different philosophical position of the value of God. That doesn't really relate to inherently the word atheist. That's all I'm saying is, I mean, I agree with you.
But people cloud their atheism with the idea that they're angry. So they're like, well, I'm angry at God, so I found my reason for God now.
Well, I don't think most atheists are really angry at God.
There's actually a huge majority.
I'm not saying that, but I don't think most are. I'm not saying there's not atheists. There's atheists that they're Satanists, there's atheists that believe that they're,
say that they
all kinds
of religion, put it that way,
not even that much. No, I'd say people are actually like personally angry at the idea of God. So like people say, oh, fuck God. It's like, fuck who? He's not real to me, so that's you saying that, not me.
Right, but you could say, it depends on how they're saying it though, because you could say fuck the concept of God because of all the things it's done in humanity. It's been a very destructive, the concept of God has been one of the most destructive concepts to me in the history of human mind. So I can say fuck that God concept in the sense that I don't have to. In other words, I can say fuck rape, but I don't have to. It doesn't have to be a person. I can hate an idea. I can hate a behavior.
That's you, but most people it is personal. Most people still address it.
I don't think most. You keep saying most.
What was the axiological reason for the evolution of religion?
Well,
religion and the concept of God even
so remember, axiology is a value of. So is there value? So it depends on how you phrase the question. So are you saying is there value in the evolution of religion?
Or must there have been at some point?
Or must there have been? Well, obviously, if it happened and it was forced to happen, it had some kind of a value to someone. That doesn't mean that. So once again, though, it matters in your viewpoint. So an axiological theist would say it was the best thing that ever happened. An axiological agnostic would say I can't assess it. And an axiological atheist would say it was the worst thing that ever happened to humans would be to invent religion. It's been one of the most destructive things. So it's about values. You have to remember that it's how you phrase it is always going to be, is it valuable? Not did it happen. Like if you ask did it happen, that's not an axiological question. Did it happen?
What I find interesting is that religion didn't evolve amongst animals other than humans.
Well, I would say that you're right, religion, but the foundations to me of religion is superstition. And animals absolutely have superstition. Animals like apes will actually worship fire. They'll actually dance in front of waterfalls. So, as far as their dead, elephants will actually worship, in a sense, worship their dead. Crows more. So right, different animals actually. So it depends on where you start religion. Now, if you say organized religion, I'm writing a book right now, by the way, finishing it up about the evolution of religion, and it starts at 100,000 years, and I go from there and break it down. So grave practices at 100,000 years are the first actual sacred thing that we started doing. 70,000 years in South Africa, or Southern Africa, not South Africa. That's that country. I don't want to say the wrong. Somewhere in Sub-Saharan Africa. Anyway, so there actually is a snake stone, which is the first thing ever worshipped. They can tell that they came there and actually burnt offerings and left arrowheads and stuff, and actually burnt red ochre. And red ochre is like blood, symbolism. So they actually worship the snake rock at 70,000 years. So, but organized religion, I would say, kind of happened when they built the first man-made structure in Göbekli Tepe in southeast Turkey at about 13 to 11,000 years ago. So that's when I would say, for me, organized religion. But that doesn't mean that was the first religious thing.
So it kind of at least co-evolved along with civilization.
Well, actually, I think that civilization happened because of religion, almost.
Okay, so
almost that religion happened, and people had a reason to come together.
Are you an axiological anti-civilizationist?
Well, no. If you said is civilization beneficial to an axiologist, of course it is. I don't think that they would be.
So we needed religion to get civilization.
No.
Because you said
I didn't say we needed.
From religion.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean needed.
Okay.
So I think that
is a different point.
But it came from religion.
I believe it was motivated to come together and apart by religion. Yes.
So and I think that even we may not have ever gotten.
No, I don't agree with that.
We may have, but we may not.
No, because really agriculture, if you ask what really was the vital thing that happened, is actually agriculture. So religion had a very big part. Yes.
Plus religion, plus some other things equals civilization.
Yes, but I think that religion didn't have to happen. I think it probably happened quicker and probably happened at more expansive cultures together. Was religion made that, but it would have eventually happened trading without religion. But yes, I think religion pushed it faster. Accelerated. Because like I said, Göbekli Tepe, 13,000 to 11,000 years ago, there's no city there.
Yeah.
There's no city. People built it, this humongous complex that is like Stonehenge but better, and there's no one living there. It's built in the middle of nowhere, and then they know that people are traveling probably 100 to 300 miles to actually worship there. So it brought people together in a way that I think faster than they would have without religion. But I don't think it was needed. I think that it happened. But that's like saying the Holocaust happened, so now we have ethics. Well, the Holocaust didn't have to happen for us to realize that torturing and killing people.
It's the same idea like why do people gather near water? Because it means life. If you go to a trading post and there's a lot of people there and they have everything you need,
right?
It means life. It means survival.
Yeah, so I think that it's wrong to say that it produced survival. I think it's right to say that it was a motivation to force civilization together faster. Or at least far-flung, because people are coming from far distance and traveling. But then again, they were also already doing that for 14,000 years, almost the same area, for obsidian.
Oh, by the way, have you read Guns, Germs, and Steel?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay, I think you would love it. One of the Pulitzer Prize.
Sorry, one second. Can I have another root beer, please?
In one of the Pulitzer Prize, Jared Diamond, he's like an anthropologist or something, and he wrote in about the last 15,000 years of human history and how it all went. And it's just an amazing book.
Yeah, I'm very.
Bill Gates recommended it.
Yeah, I'm very interested in books about that. I've read 5.
I'll write it down.
Okay, I've read 5 books specifically on archaeology, like the Oxford Dictionary of Religion and Ritual. It's like a $150 book. It's like 700, 800 pages.
I think what I'm getting at is that with taking all beliefs off the table, you're a caveman. You discover fire for the first time.
Well, fire was like 400,000 to 600,000 years ago. I mean, it's amazing how long ago we got fire.
See, you touch it, it's hot, it hurts. Don't touch it.
Yeah, I think
that's the same idea as
Do you see how
axiological.
small this group is? How come there's a big one?
So that's the same idea to me as like axiological pieces. Like you do something or you don't do something. Why would you do it? Because it's interesting. Why wouldn't you do it? It hurts.
Right, yeah.
So when it comes down to it, I think that if you strip everything away, like if you strip away religion, you strip away atheism, what you get is your core fundamentals of what am I doing right now is right and wrong. And then you found a word that means that, dictates that in a psychological way of thinking. But I think that an important part of that is that the important part of the word is that you can hand that to somebody. You can hand a paper to somebody. It says axiological on it. They'll go look it up and they'll be like, oh my god, this is intrinsic to all of my beliefs.
Yes.
And it doesn't have anything to do with
Well, and like you say a lot of times you're a humanist. Well, an axiological is a humanist. I mean, it is like a subset.
I believe in
in other words, you can't really be an axiologist and be a non-humanist. You're not using it right, you know.
People say, oh, I'm just not very social. You just said that to me in English, trying to prove to me that you're not social. Like, tell me another language. No? You can't say it in another language? Why? Because you'll only learn how to speak my language. You're making your own language. So yes, you are social. So let's take that off the table and start over. It really breaks down to the core fundamentals of like, why are we here? What do we do? Maybe there is no why. What do we do? We can work together. I mean, if you're an atheist, you don't believe in any gods. So at that point, when you don't believe in any gods, the only thing you can believe is the word atheist, which is actually a word that we came up with as a society. So now you believe.
Well, but right, and I've heard it before, and I do agree. We shouldn't have to need the word atheist. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But unfortunately, in the world we live in, we need that word.
It's shitty. It's like it's a word that was made up to.
I agree. I would
address a cure to a symptom.
Correct. I would rather just call myself an axiologist and nothing else. But I can't. First off, no one else knows what that word means, and then second off, well, a lot of people even online, a lot of people are learning what it means. You know, or some people have told me, well, how is it not like atheist plus? It's nothing to do with that. Atheism plus is someone took the word atheist and tried to put things to it. Axiology is actual science and a philosophy, and it also is an atheistic philosophy. You can go look it up online. It shows right there. I mean, it's nothing. There's actually several. People don't know this, but there's actually several atheist philosophies. That's just one of them. That's not the only way. That's why when people say that people
can't one denomination of Christianity.
Oh yeah,
that's why we use the word denomination.
I have a question out there. Do you think the internet's going to be the downfall of everyone's beliefs?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm now getting videos of people in Bangladesh that don't even have humanist organizations. They don't even have a way to go have meetups at all. I mean, so the internet is going to kill religion. Absolutely. In fact, I wouldn't even know about the word axiology. When I first became an atheist, I felt like I didn't know what I was. I was an atheist, but I felt kind of humanistic. But I wasn't very versed in it. And the only word I can think of that matched with my limited understanding of reality, because I was raised so religious, was I used to call myself a spiritual atheist, because I thought the world had value and had meaning. So I didn't understand words. People kept saying, well, yes, and I believe in this. They would say like really things that I didn't mean by the word spiritual. They would say like, I believe in something like magic or something, or like meditation, and I don't believe that. You know? Or how about possibility of life or death? I don't believe that. So as I realized, well, maybe this word spiritual isn't fitting me right. I need a different word that kind of means something. So then I started looking, and that's when I found axiology, and I was like, and it's better. Number one, it's not even a spiritual word. It's a philosophy and a science word, social science. So it removes religion completely. It starts. Formal axiology starts with like evolution and Darwinism. It starts with scientific basis and stays in reality, and there's nothing. So that's exactly what I was looking for. I mean, I was looking for something that fits exactly. So it actually believes that religion should change axiology. It should remove its moral system and use axiology to produce its values. So actually, a lot of people actually do not like that are religious when they learn about it. Don't like formal axiology because they think it's trying to subvert religion. Well, it is. It feels. I mean, in a sense, not atheistically, but just axiologically, it's like your values seem to be okay with hating gays. Yeah, that's not okay. So your values need to go, and you need to use ours. Because what they make a statement is, morality is too important to leave it in the hands of philosophers or religion. Which is an axiological statement that pisses, of course, religious people off. What do you mean? Religion invents morality. What are you talking about?
You gotta bring everybody together, right?
Right, and that's because it's a different kind of.
But yeah, it really, I've become more caring and compassionate because of seeing value outside of myself. You have value as a woman, not because I value women, but because you have value. It changes everything. It's allowed me to. You have value as a person, outside of what I can use you for, or what you give to me, or even what you give to society. Just eventually. Yeah, it's changed my view of how I should behave with others. It's made me a lot more humanistic. So that's why I do agree with you. I would like to call myself, so people understand, a humanist atheist, like you say. But axiology is a better term, really, for what I feel. Because also the problem with people, like some have asked before, well, a lot of axiological atheism sounds like secular humanism. Yes, an axiologist would be very secular and would be very humanist. But the difference is, axiological atheist shows you have a strong disbelief and a strong devaluing of God. So when they say, like, you don't need a God, to be good, an axiological atheist would say there is no God and there never was a God, even if we needed one.
I realize.
I don't know since I haven't been 18.
So it's a little bit stronger and more aggressive in a sense, but it still would attack thinking and not people. So in other words, it's anti-theist. All axiological atheists, if you own that title, you would be anti-theist because it sees no value in a God. So it's automatically, and most of the time it would be then carried on to religion also. So it would be, not all though, but most would also be anti-religious. But a lot of people that say they're anti-theists are usually more aggressive towards people. Not all, but it's common for it to be more of an all-out assault on religion or gods. But an axiologist still has the humanist. So it's in the secularist that everyone. So I want religion to die. It deserves to die. It's no value. But I would never stop someone from doing what they choose. So it's very different because some would say that they should die, and I'm ready to kill them. Where I would never. People own themselves. They have the right to believe false beliefs.
Thank God I'm an atheist.
And they have the right to have that belief without me attacking them just for believing. So I always tell people, I never attack people's beliefs. I only attack when they say it's true.
I kind of stuck to religion just for the fact.
Right. So if you say, to me it's true that Buddhism is real, I have no problem with that. If you say Buddhism is true, as in everyone needs to agree with it, I have no problem with that.
It's a pretty dark idea.
Right, so I'm going to start, what you do is I start challenging you. How do you know that? Why is it? Or why I believe otherwise. I'll explain to you. But if you still said, well, I still believe it, I would just probably stop. Because I don't have a value in attacking you for the point of winning or the point of just belittling you. There's to me, no value in that. 16 years. That's not how I choose to behave. So that's kind of different.
Someone would have to have a value for wanting to prove, saying, telling you that they're true.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I'm saying a lot of Christians go, well, I know there's a God. Right, so or they say that, or they'll say, you know there's a God inside. And I'm not going to go, okay, I'm going to say something about that. But if you say, I believe there's a God to me, I won't challenge you. I'll say, well, I'll say nothing, or I might say I disagree. But I won't attack you. I won't challenge you. My mom says that, she believes in prayer. She goes, I know you don't. And I say, you're right. That's all I say. Now, if she says, you need to believe in prayer, I'm going to attack her. But I'm attacking actually the thinking that I have to believe, not her particularly. Not her right to think that way. Her right to try to make me think this. So, people go, I have the right to overeat. I have the right have to shave my head or do my beard one way or have tattoos or do something else, you know, have a different sexual lifestyle, it's my right. But if I say you have to have a bald head, you have to have a red beard, you have to have tattoos, so that's what I'm definitely going to say. You can't do that.
We'll go back real,
So I have a problem with religion usually is, and the biggest problem is they try to push it on everybody. They push it on their kids, they force it on them. Like they own the kids. And then they force it on their friends, and they force it on society. They try to make laws to force us to do what they want. I have to fight that. So especially as an axiologist, it is my duty to fight that. If you didn't do that, I don't go fight Amish. You know, they want to stick to their own thing, and okay, I don't think they should do their kids that way, but they actually allow their kids to leave. So I really don't have, you know, I think they're crazy and wrong, but I don't have this all-out assault against the Amish. You know what I'm saying? Because people have the right to, I support your right to be stupid, to be uninformed. You have that right. You don't have to. So, and I think that's the big difference in how an axiological atheist can be an anti-theist and an anti-religionist. Disrespect the religion, but respect the person, which I totally believe in. And then, like an axiologist in general, people are always more important than beliefs, and that includes my disbelief. If you ask me, I have to either treat someone kindly or support my disbelief, and I have to pick one, I'm going to pick kindness. Because axiologically, kindness is more, treating the human is more important than the belief. Always. What's that? So I'm just saying that that's how I see it. That's why when I found out what it was, I go, that's me. That is, it gave me, like you said, you know, about having values to run your life. That is values to run my life. And that's ones I would feel honorable running my life with those values. And I do. I feel more of an honorable person today in how to run my life than I've ever felt in my life. Even when I was religious, thinking I was doing stuff honorably. I actually feel better now because I can assess that it actually is honorable. I tell people all the time, be the person that you would like to meet. Be the person that you would look up to. I want to act in a way that I could look and go, wow, I would like to be that person. And then I'm trying to do that. So I try to be as caring and understanding as possible. Compassion. Well, like I say, intelligence, which I'm kind of intelligent, intelligence would lead me to feel superior. But wisdom reminds me of the superiority of kindness. And that for me is a big difference that I have to axiologically, which is more important, me feeling the ego or me caring? Caring has more value. So people go, like, well, people say, well, they don't know anything. You know what? If they're kind, I can respect that because that's more value. You don't need, a dog can be kind. They don't know anything. Believe or disbelieve, and yet they can do something that's very beneficial. In fact, it's so beneficial it helps people live, like elderly when they get animals. So there's a value to that that is way outside belief. So as an axiological atheist, I always value people over beliefs. It is what matters. It doesn't mean I don't try to change beliefs because beliefs affect people, which is why I would always fight to speak the truth. But in general, like I said, it's not a question. If you ask me which should I choose, my disbelief, my atheism, my anti-theism, my anti-religion, or kindness, it would be kindness. So I try to do that even when I talk to people.
So would you ever consider it kind to lie and say you believe in God?
Yeah, so
would I ever feel is kind? Well, I believe that lying inherently is not unkind. Yeah, is an unkind or unjust act. So, but then again, it depends on that's a different question because I would depend on what the lie is. If someone's on their deathbed, not the God question. I don't think they're on their deathbed and they said, "Do you love me?" And I just met them. I would be more than willing to say I love them because of the value of that. I don't think the God question has the same inherent value
when we started, we didn't think many people would like it.
But it would really depend.
What if they were like begging you, please before I die, bless me?
But see, so you go back to the my values. So I have an inherent value. I don't have to give up my values for other people.
Right. Like a woman said, "God bless you" the other day, and I said, "Yeah, God bless you too," even though I don't believe it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I would just say thanks. If I didn't want to be aggressive, I would just say thanks. I don't attack everyone because they say things. Like I said, unless they say it, then I have to agree with it, and I guarantee.
So then based on how long it's been since I came out of Africa, then there were all these subgroups, and I found out what group I was in, and then I started that group.
So when they did
Lots and lots of people.
Happy New Year, everybody. See you next year.
Did you wanna add your name and your email? What I was gonna do is I was gonna email the whole list of females' names to everybody.
Well, because I'm already on the list.
Okay.
I signed the list last week.
So do you broadcast their meetup as well?
No. No, I told you I would broadcast yours because you're working with me. Now, if they wanted to work with me, then I may do that. I mean, I'm not against. When I was in California, I had well, some people don't want to. When I was in California, I was a member of probably about 8 different groups. 2 of them we cross-post specifically, but we were like people in the groups. We kind of liked each other, and so we would cross-post things that were going on. Some people do that in groups, some don't. But it really depends on the people, and also like do they see value in the group? Do they see value in you? I mean, not everybody. So, I mean, I like a lot of the stuff that you say. That's why I try to help you also.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing podcasts, like just starting my own channel and kind of.
We already Secular TV already has a channel. If you want, I can put you with them and see if you want to put a podcast on there. Yeah, because they're already promoting the channel. You'll already have a fan base. I mean, or already have exposure. I mean, it's up to you. I'm just saying I can ask them or put you in contact and you can talk to them, and because they want to put more things on there, especially people that are activists. And I think you definitely qualify. And so if you want to do it, in other words, why invent the whole wheel? If there's already a car rolling, you can jump on and get a ride. So I'm just saying that. It would behoove you to, if you're going to want to do that, that's great. And I was saying if you want to do that, it's great. There's already an avenue that you can possibly, link onto.
Any violations of
we get slapped down.
Yeah, cross out the God of the money. In reason we trust. All right, well, I'm going to go, so it was good talking to you guys, and see you in another video later.